James gets a lot of criticism for that series in particular. And I want to ask you, what is the difference that you see in him then in that series and then in him now? Because if you had to just compare certain differences, what are some of the differences that you see?
Yeah. So, number one, he was the number 2 guy with the Heat, right? It was Dwayne Wade that really was the leader, like we talked earlier about having that leader in the locker room, right?
Right.
So you could really tell on the court and just from talking to guys that, he went to Dwayne's team, right? It wasn't like, Dwayne came to his team.
Right.
And so I think one is leadership. Now LeBron's that guy, period, end of story, right? He says who comes on that team, how it's going to work, what we're doing. And 2, he's got the basketball IQ level now. He's a basketball savant.
All right, our Chris Broussard joining us now. Chris, I want to get your take on Mark Cuban interviewing and driving and interviewing. I get it, it's comfortable. Is LeBron better today in year 17 than he was back in 2011 at age 26?
This is a tough one. I agree with most of what Mark Cuban said, except that he was the number 2 guy. Now, he's right in that Dwayne Wade was the leader of that team, Lord. But LeBron was the best player. Let's not forget how good LeBron James was in 2011. He was roundly recognized as the best player in the world. He was coming off back-to-back MVP awards, in which he had led Cleveland to the best record in the league both years. And unlike in Game 4 the other night, he wouldn't have had to let Anthony Davis guard Jimmy Butler to lock him down at the end. LeBron could have guarded Jimmy Butler for 48 minutes and slowed him down tremendously. He physically and athletically, he was superior to what he is today. But like Mark Cuban said, it was all mental. And LeBron was not mentally where he is today, nor was he mature enough. Remember, that was a year when LeBron was trying to play the villain role. He was going to play into what everybody was saying when he left Cleveland. Okay, this is what you want. This is who I'll be, the villain. That wasn't him. That showed that he let what others were saying get into his head. He doesn't do that anymore. Also, remember, he and Dwayne Wade, that series turned a bit when he and Dwayne Wade mocked Dirk Nowitzki for being sick during the series. And that's when the whole thing kind of turned, or around that same time. And so that shows the lack of maturity. LeBron and those around him will tell you that series, as bad as it was, he did some soul searching after that, became not only a better player and leader, but a better man, a better father, a better partner to his now wife, Savannah. Like, that was necessary, as bad as it was, for LeBron to become what he is today. Now, what he has now is 80 to 85% of his old athleticism, but he's far smarter and more experienced than he used to be. So that can still make him the best player in the world. Better, I was thinking about this. I said, I don't know if I can say he's better, but it boils down to this. In 2011, he was not ready to lead a team to a championship. In 2020, he is. So I do have to say he probably is better now.
Yeah, I would argue the best LeBron James we've ever seen was 2013, when he should have won Defensive Player of the Year, when he was a vote away from unanimous MVP, when they won 27 straight games. He's not as good now as he was in 2013, but he's better now than he was in 2011. I want to talk about 2011 for a second, though, Broussard, because anytime you talk about, is LeBron James the greatest player of all time, which he is, there are only 2 cards for the Jordan folks to play. One is the pedantic, childish count the rings. The other one is an argument that seems like a fair one, which is, well, what about the 2011 finals? Let's do a blind stat reveal real quick. Maybe it might illustrate how awful those 2011 finals really were. So here's 3 guys and what they did in select NBA finals. I'll give you a hint. One of them is LeBron's 2011 meltdown. The worst moment of his career. The worst moment of any superstar's career. Let's show who those other 2 guys are, if we could. Those are the years Kawhi and Iggy won Finals MVP. LeBron's meltdown was more points, rebounds, assists, steals than the crowning achievements for those two finals MVPs up to that point of their careers. So I do think the 2011 meltdown has maybe been overstated a bit. But post 2011, and if we could show this, well, I'm just, the numbers can speak for themselves. You know, if you're not LeBron, that finals can win you MVP. If you are, it's the worst moment of your life, which probably speaks to him being the GOAT. But is he better since then? And I'll throw it back to you, Broussard. Since then, just show it real quick what his finals have been, because he's never had another moment like that. That's the 8 finals. And you could argue that group on the right is even better than the group on the left. So is he getting better with age? It would appear. His field goal percentage is certainly getting better. He's averaging close to 32 a game his last 4 NBA finals. And it's certainly, he's had no moments like 2011 Broussard, which was so horrible, it just was, you know, the same stat profile as a couple finals MVPs. That's all. Just
Nick,
numbers.
I'm sure we'll have this conversation after the Lakers win this championship, and LeBron now has 4 rings. But look, I've got a handful of cards. I don't have just 2, all right? I've got a handful of cards that tell me Michael Jordan is the GOAT.
That's
but
the third.
Can't,
You pulled that one out of the back pocket.
You're comparing LeBron James to a young Kawhi Leonard who was a pup in 2014 and Andre Iguodala? I get it. I said it myself. When people look back 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now and say, wow, that was LeBron's meltdown? 17, 7, and 7? Wow. No, but you had to watch the series, as I know you did. That was not LeBron James. I don't care what the numbers say. LeBron was turning down post-ups over J.J. Barea. That you cannot minimize that. And no, every player's had that. Magic in '84. Bird, his first finals, 2 8-point games and I think a 12-point game. Kareem got swept a few times in the playoffs. We can go to everybody and say that, except Michael Jordan.
We're not doing the Jordan
difference.
thing. No.
He's never had a meltdown. Never.
Okay. Nick
listen, you guys, I'll let you guys debate the numbers and throw the graphs up there. Let me speak from a player's perspective, okay? So I agree with Mark Cuban, because as a player, when you enter the league, you hear about these veteran guys operating at a level where the game is so slow. And when you talk about the plays they made and how they were able to do it, it was their recount is almost in slow motion. So as a player, what you're trying to do is you're trying to understand each moment. You're watching film so you're better prepared to make the proper pass, to make the proper move. So that takes time. So what I'm saying is he's better now from a neuromuscular standpoint, and just track with me here.
Neuromuscular. Yeah.
Just track with me here. So the goal is, how do I get as many mental reps as possible so when I go into a game, I know exactly what's going to happen before it happens. So when you see LeBron James, he knows what Tyler Herro and Duncan Robinson is going to do 3 possessions out. Because he's been in these moments so many times. He's failed so many times. But the key to a guy dominating for 17 years, and this is why it's so special what LeBron's doing, is because when the mind do this and it does it, that's when you're in that sweet spot. That's when you're in that state of zen, right? Because there's so many times where you have an older player, an aging player that understands the game, who's that NBA savant, that NFL savant, and they're like, yo, I know what's about to happen, but my body just won't react. It won't respond. Yes, there's a little, his talent, his physical talent is a little diminished, but he's able to say, I know what Tyler Herro's about to do before he does it, but then I'm gonna do this. And when his mind tells his body to do it, he does it. And that's why he's so dominant, because he's so efficient. And what he's doing is so special. 17-year run. I don't think we'll ever see a run like this again in sports.
Brandon, I'll show the difference between me and you. When you talk about neuromuscular, I'll just put it in plain English. There's 2 things that old men get better at. One is basketball, and one is moving couches through doorways. You got 3 college kids trying to move a couch through the doorway. You better go down and call your 75-year-old super who comes up there with his suspenders on. He's like, boom, 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 couch through the doorway. That's LeBron. And you know why? Because the super has moved 1,000 couches through 1,000 doorways. Doesn't matter how strong you are. You need the smarts of the old man super. And because LeBron has got so many minutes at this point, if we can put up the stat, it's not only who's on this list, it's who's not on this list. He's got 8,000 more minutes than Jordan. He's got more than Tim Duncan. He's got more than Hakeem. He got more than Robert Parrish, who played till he's 43. And Broussard, as we're oddly the oldest people on this staff right now, look at this classic old man basketball move. Boom, right elbow in your back. This is from game 1. This is just old man basketball against Derrick Jones, who won the dunk contest. This is classic old man versus young athlete. And you see this play out a million ways. I just like this one, Broussard. So you're seeing the perfect combination of smarts and old man strength.